Imagine stumbling upon two children in a field, lost and terrified. They're speaking a language no one has ever heard before, and their clothes are made of a strange, unfamiliar fabric. But that's not the strangest part. The strangest part is their skin. It's green, not sickly pale, but a vibrant, leafy green. This isn't the opening scene of a fantasy movie. This is a documented event from 12th century England, a mystery that has puzzled historians for over 800 years. Were they visitors from another world, spirits from a subterranean realm, or were they simply the lost and traumatized survivors of a forgotten war? Today, we're digging deep into the incredible story of the Green Children of Woolpit. So, how do we even know about this? This isn't just some local legend passed down through generations. The story was recorded by two of the most respected and meticulous chroniclers of the Middle Ages. First, we have William of Newburgh. This guy was the medieval equivalent of a skeptical journalist. He was known for being critical and for fact-checking his sources. In his major work, The History of English Affairs, he admits he was reluctant to even include the story of the Green Children because it sounded so completely unbelievable. He only wrote it down after, in his own words, being overcome by the weight of so many and such competent witnesses. He cross-referenced the story and confirmed it with multiple people who were there. Our second source is even more direct. Ralph of Coggeshall was an abbot who lived just 26 miles away from the village of Woolpit. He wasn't hearing this story third or fourth hand. He claims he heard it directly from Sir Richard de Colin, the knight who actually took the children into his home and raised them. Ralph of Coggeshall recorded the event in his own chronicle, adding details he could only have gotten from someone intimately involved. The fact that these two highly credible, independent historians both documented the same bizarre event gives it a weight we just can't ignore. They treated it as a real historical incident. So for today, so will we. Let's get back to the children themselves. Huddled in that wolf pit where they were found, they were taken in by Sir Richard, but they refused all food. They were starving, but they wouldn't eat anything offered to them. The villagers brought out bread, meats, and all sorts of medieval fare, but the children just wept and pushed it away. Then, someone brought in freshly harvested broad beans, or fava beans. The children's eyes lit up with recognition, but their behavior was still strange. They didn't know how to open the pods. They grabbed the beanstalks, trying to break them open, and started crying in frustration when they found nothing inside. Someone had to physically show them how to shell the pods to get to the beans inside. For a long time, these raw beans were the only thing they would eat. This detail about the beans is incredibly specific and might hold a key clue. From a practical standpoint, it suggests they were from a very primitive culture or had been living wild, only recognizing a basic, unprocessed food source. But there's also a deeper, more symbolic meaning. In ancient Greek and Roman traditions, beans had a powerful connection to the underworld and the dead. The philosopher Pythagoras famously forbade his followers from eating beans, believing they contained the souls of the deceased. So, if we're looking at this as folklore, the beans could be a symbol that these children weren't from another country, but from the land of the dead. It's a chilling detail that adds another layer of mystery to their origins. As the children slowly began to adapt, the boy, who was younger and seemed weaker, grew sick and eventually died. The girl, however, survived. She was baptized and eventually learned to speak English, and when she could finally tell her story, it was even more bizarre than her appearance. She described her home as a place called St. Martin's Land. According to her, the sun never rose there. It was a land of perpetual twilight, like the light just before dawn. Everything in her world, the landscape and its people, was green, just like her. She also described seeing a luminous country, a land of brilliant light, on the other side of a very wide river that they could never cross. This has led some to speculate about parallel universes or underground worlds. So how did they get here? She said that one day, she and her brother were herding their family's cattle. Suddenly, they heard a loud, captivating sound, like the ringing of many bells. Intrigued, they followed the sound into a cave or cavern. They wandered through the darkness for a long time, following the enchanting noise. until they suddenly emerged from the passage. They were immediately blinded by the harsh, bright English sunlight, a stark contrast to their twilight world. Terrified and disoriented, they were found lying in the pit near the village of Woolpit. The bells they heard were almost certainly the church bells of the nearby abbey at Bury St. Edmunds, a powerful sound that would have carried for miles. But what was the cavern they traveled through? The girl didn't just survive, she thrived. As her diet changed from raw beans to bread and other foods, her green skin color gradually faded away, and she looked just like any other English woman. The chronicles do note, rather cheekily, that she grew up to be rather loose and wanton in her conduct, which probably just means she was a bit rebellious and didn't conform to the strict expectations for women at the time. Historians have even tried to trace her life after the incident. There are records of a woman named Agnes Barr, who lived in the right area at the right time. This Agnes married a prominent royal official named Richard Barr, who worked for King Henry II. It's tantalizing to think that this influential courtier's wife was once the mysterious green girl of Woolpit, her incredible past, a secret hidden in plain sight. For centuries, people have proposed theories ranging from aliens to fairies to hollow earth dwellers. But there is one historical explanation that fits the facts so well, it's hard to ignore. It's known as the Battle of Fornham theory. In 1173, just a few years before the children were found, a major battle took place at Fornham, which is very close to Woolpit. King Henry II's army fought and defeated a rebel force, which included a large number of Flemish mercenaries. Thousands of these Flemish soldiers and their families were slaughtered in the battle and the pursuit that followed. Now, let's connect the dots. What if the children were the orphaned children of Flemish immigrants who were part of this defeated army? After their parents were killed, they could have fled in terror into the vast and dense Thetford forest. This ancient forest was known for being dark and gloomy, and to a traumatized child, the canopy of trees could easily create a world of perpetual twilight. Starving and alone, they would have developed what was once called green sickness or hypochromic anemia. It's a severe iron deficiency caused by malnutrition that can literally give a person's skin a noticeable greenish tinge. When they were found, they would have been speaking Flemish, which to the Suffolk villagers of Woolpit would have sounded like a completely alien gibberish. And what about the strangest detail of all? St. Martin's Land. The battle didn't just take place near Fornham. It took place at Fornham, St. Martin. It's entirely plausible that the children, when asked where they were from, were trying to say the name of their village. Fornham, St. Martin, which the English speakers misinterpreted as a description of a magical land. This theory explains their language, their green color as a medical condition, their description of a twilight land, and even the name of their home. It grounds this seemingly supernatural event in a very real and tragic human history. So, what is the real story of the green children of Woolpit? Were they interdimensional travelers who stumbled into our world through a portal, forever separated from their luminous home by an uncrossable river? Were they fairy changelings, as many medieval villagers believed? Or were they the deeply traumatized, starving orphans of war, their strange appearance and confused story simply the result of illness and tragedy? The historical explanation is compelling and logical, but the tale as told by the chronicles contains a magic and a mystery that has captivated us for centuries. It's a story that lives in the space between history and myth, a reminder that sometimes the most unbelievable stories have roots in the very real, and often very harsh, ground beneath our feet. What do you think? Let me know your theory in the comments below. Was it aliens, fairies, or a forgotten battle? Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into a medieval mystery, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into strange history. See you next time.